Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning, everybody. What's going on? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. We got another one of these rundown videos for you guys today. We're going to be sharing some business stories. We're going to be talking about the economy, markets, layoffs, remote work, and a whole lot more. I would say two of the bigger stories today. Disney begins their 7,000 layoffs today, and we are hearing from Disney CEO Bob Iger, that they will be continuing to do more layoffs in the coming months, and it's kind of weird that they would announce that rather than just doing that. Now, it almost seems like they're hoping that some people start looking for jobs and leaving voluntarily. And I'm also hearing from people on Twitter and Reddit and other social media platforms that Disney and ESPN employees are both being asked to come back into the office 5 days a week. And again, this is likely to get people to voluntarily quit or leave, so that down the road they have to do less firings. And I saw an interesting article titled, it was from Zippia.com, and it was titled 25 Trending Remote Work Statistics, Facts, Trends, and Projections. So we're going to be taking a look at that in today's video as well. Before we get started, a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Cotopaxi. You can check out their website at cotopaxi.com. That's COTOPAXI.com. And in today's video, I just wanted to briefly talk about their COSO 2-liter waist pack. It's basically a fanny pack. I actually use it myself. I'm a huge fan of it. Super durable. They have a lifetime guarantee. And one thing that's really unique about this Cotopaxi COSO 2-liter waist pack, it's got this little pouch on the front, almost like kind of a kangaroo pouch. And so it's really handy that you can tuck things in there. They're securely tucked away, but you don't have to unzip anything or unbuckle anything to get access to them. So I love using this bag as kind of an everyday carry bag. I also travel with it, whether I'm taking road trips or taking a flight. I like that it's super easy to tuck my passport, my phone, maybe a pair of headphones right in this little pouch on the outside. And, I don't edit my video, so I'm not going to edit in a photo, but I'll link to the Cotopaxi COSO 2-liter waist pack on Amazon. You can get it with free shipping if you are a Prime member. And again, they have a lifetime guarantee, and this is one of my favorite packs. It's outlasted about 4 different Walmart Ozark Trail packs that I've had. I've long been a huge fan of fanny packs, even when I used to get made fun of by my friends for wearing them. And now I've converted all my friends. All my friends carry some type of crossbody pack or fanny pack. So check it out, Cotopaxi COSO 2-liter waist pack. Link in the description box below. Let's talk a little bit about markets yesterday. So isn't it weird that just a week ago we had a run on the banks? Trillions of dollars were exiting banks. The government had to backstop banks with $300 million. We're hearing about one bank collapse after another. There's potentially hundreds of banks that are going to go under. And all the while, markets continue to go up. Yesterday, the Dow closed up 194 points. The NASDAQ closed up 0.34%. And the S&P 500 closed up 0.16%. Crypto continues trading downwards, down about 3 to 5% in the last 24 hours. And I had pulled stats last night, but crypto moves so quickly. Let's just head on over to CoinMarketCap and take a look at crypto prices. So I believe the U.S. government is suing CZ of Binance. So that's one of the stories that kind of drove crypto lower. Yeah, it looks like on the 24-hour, Bitcoin down about 2.62%, Ethereum down 1%, BNB is down pretty big. BNB down 5.16% on the news that the U.S. government's going after CZ and Binance, and there does appear to be somewhat of a coordinated attack on crypto. All the banks that were taken over by the FDIC were either crypto banks or had some ties to crypto. Government's also been going after a number of celebrities who have promoted crypto, and there definitely seems to be a coordinated attack on crypto. Currently, Bitcoin trading at $27,119, Ethereum trading at $1746, and BNB trading at $311. Okay, so let's see. I lost my notes here. Let's get back into this. So Disney is beginning their 7,000 layoffs this week, saying that there's more to come at both Disney and ESPN. And as I mentioned briefly a minute ago, ESPN and Disney workers are reportedly being asked to return to the office 5 days per week, likely to try to get people to quit before they wind up having to do another round of layoffs. And it is kind of weird how you would say, look, we're laying off 7,000 people and there's going to be more layoffs to come. So pretty much all Disney employees are on edge right now wondering, am I going to be laid off this week? And even if you wind up surviving the layoffs of this week, you have it hanging over your head that there's more layoffs coming in the weeks ahead or the months ahead, and that can't be very good for employee morale. And this kind of leads us into the story about remote work. I think as more and more companies need to wind up having to do layoffs, it's a bad look to do layoffs. Companies don't like to lay people. I shouldn't say companies don't like to lay people off. It typically gives their stock price a boost, but it kind of gives a company a black eye. It makes it look like the company's not doing that well. And we had talked about in a recent video about all the fake job listings out there. And one of the reasons that companies put out these fake job listings that they don't actually plan to hire for and wind up leaving these listings sitting out there for months is to give the impression that the company is growing. So if you're laying people off, it's a bad look, right? It doesn't look like the company is growing. And I've seen a number of stories coming out about remote work. There's a lot of these stories of people who bought homes in 2020, 2021, 2022, thinking that remote work would go on forever. Some of them had promises from their workplaces that remote work was the new thing. Other people just kind of assumed the new thing and didn't really get clearance from their employers that someday they may wind up having to come into the office. But we're seeing all these stories about people who bought at the peak of the market, moved 5 hours away from their office or even to an entirely different state, and now they're being called back into the office. And I was just reading a story about this the other day that highlighted maybe 5 or 6 different individuals. One person was having to go to the office a couple days a week, and it was a 5-hour commute. So that's a 5-hour commute every day. What's that, about 2.5 hours each way? 5-hour commute each day to be able to keep their job because their job wants them back in the office, 3 days a week or whatever it was. There's stories of other people who bought homes, thinking that remote work would go on forever, and they chose to keep their job, which meant they had to move back near their home office. I think in one of the stories that was highlighted, somebody had purchased a home for $375,000. Had been trying to sell it for months because they were going to have to move back closer to their office. They were getting lowballed on all the offers. I think they got a couple offers of $325. The highest offer they had was $350. Eventually, this person featured in the story wound up getting an offer for $369,000, which is $6,000 less than they bought the property for. But when you account for about 6% in fees and costs of selling the home, they actually wound up losing about $35,000. Having to sell this home that they recently had just bought. There's other people who are having to live with their parents Monday through Friday during the week to be able to commute to the office, and then they're going back to their home that may be in another state or 5 hours away from the office, and living at their own house on the weekend. Now, why is this interesting? This whole work from home movement, this whole work from home bubble, was a significant cause in a lot of the run-up of real estate prices around the country, right? When you don't have to be near your office, you could move further away. This allowed people to go to communities where they previously wouldn't have been able to live. We've talked about how a lot of the tech workers moved to Boise, Idaho, and a lot of other different cities outside of Silicon Valley in the Pacific Northwest, and that drove housing prices up. Well, with all the tech layoffs happening, a lot of these people may not be able to afford these homes. Also, with a lot of these tech people and just people in general being called back into the office, a lot of these people are going to have to give up those homes. A lot of the money is going to flow out of some of these more rural areas and smaller areas and vacation areas, and we could see real estate prices retreat. With that being said, let's see if we can hop over to where's that article? I want to hop over to this Zippia article because there were some interesting statistics in there. Let's see here. Okay, so I'll try to remember to link to this. This is from Zippia.com, ZIPPIA.com, and it's titled 25 Remote Working Statistics, 2023 Facts, Trends, and Projections. So what do we got here? 26% of U.S. employees work remotely as of 2022. Back in 2018, this was only at about 6%. So let's see, 6, 12, 18, 24. That's about a 4 times multiple in terms of more people working from home here in 2022, 2023. There are expected to be 36.2 million American employees working remotely by 2025. 40% of workers believe they've been more productive while working at home during the Mexican beer cough as opposed to the office. 16% of U.S. companies are fully remote, so that's an interesting stat. That's pretty high. Remote jobs now make up 15% of work opportunities in the U.S. Let's see, more general remote statistics. 66% of U.S. employees work remotely at least part-time, so a majority of people are working remotely at least part-time. with up to 92% of employees working at least 1 day per week remotely. The average U.S. worker works 5.8 remote work days per month. So that's interesting. 92% of people are working at home at least part-time. Currently, 68% of Americans would prefer to be fully remote. That means a considerable majority of the U.S. workforce wants to work remotely, and what's more, at least 23% would take a 10% pay cut to work from home indefinitely. And here's a weird thing about, I've seen a lot of people who are being called back into the office trying to negotiate with their employers. Like, I've seen people willing to take up to a 30% pay cut for working at home. And here's one thing that's kind of silly, right? If you feel you're just as valuable at home as you are in the office, and if you feel that you're even more productive at home than you are in the office, why would you be willing to take a pay cut to stay at home? And that almost seems to undercut your argument that you're more productive. If you're willing to take a 20 or 30% pay cut to work at home, it almost kind of, to me, comes off as, yeah, I'm kind of fucking around at home a little bit, so I don't mind taking a 20% pay cut. At least 50% of employers believe remote work reduces absenteeism, and the feeling is mutual among employees, as 56% say they have reduced absences and 50% use fewer sick days. And I think that's one of the negative things about remote work. I think there's this idea that if you work remotely, you can't take a sick day because you're already at home. And, well, there are probably days that maybe you wouldn't go into the office if you had diarrhea or something like that, but you could work from the comfort of your own home. There are days when you can be sick and you can just feel so shitty that even if you are sitting on your couch, you're just not up for work. You're just not, maybe you got a pounding headache. Maybe you're just feeling really under the weather. You have no energy. And I almost think remote work kind of gives the expectation that you can't take a sick day because you're already at home. And then kind of the last stat of this article, 16% of companies are fully remote. This is still compared to the 44% of companies that don't allow remote work. However, this trend is changing over time, as 59% of workers report being more likely to choose an employer that allows remote work rather than one that doesn't. And I think it'll be interesting to see what, if any, effect kind of the return to office as well as layoffs has on real estate markets. I thought this was kind of interesting. A recent study found that exercise is the best cure for mental health problems. Somewhere between 15 and 20% of adults are on antidepressants. And a recent study done by Australian scientists, where they looked at hundreds of other studies, concluded that exercise is 150% more effective than pharmaceutical drugs for mental health problems and depression. So if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling stuck, if you're taking antidepressants, maybe try getting out, going for a run, going for a bike ride, because a recent study found that's 150 times more effective than taking pharmaceuticals. I thought this was an interesting story. So an Amazon consultant admits to bribing Amazon employees to help clients. This guy's name's Ed Rosenberg. He was the founder of an Amazon sellers group. He just recently pleaded guilty to paying Amazon employees over $100,000 to get accounts unsuspended for his clients, as well as to boost certain accounts and certain listings. It was a pretty good return on investment. The $100,000 he spent to bribe Amazon employees wound up making his clients over $100 million. You guys probably saw this story the other day. This is kind of a sad story. Yesterday there was another school shooting. These things are becoming less and less rare in Nashville. It was a trans person had shot up a Christian elementary school. A bunch of 9-year-olds wound up being killed, as well as a bunch of staff members. And why this is kind of interesting, so the police chief who was interviewed was asked whether the fact that this person was trans played a role in the shooting, and this person had allegedly left a manifesto. The manifesto hasn't been released, but this comes right ahead of a Trans Day of Vengeance event and a fundraiser for guns and gun training for trans people. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how the media covers this. Granted, the majority of mass shootings and school shootings are white males, and anytime a shooting happens, everybody's always rushing to say, oh, it was a white male who did it. And, chances are that probably is true. This one is actually a white trans female to male trans person. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how the media covers this, because the media loves to talk about crime when it's done by white males. But when other races, genders, and ethnicities are involved, the media oftentimes likes to leave that out of the stories. And there was kind of a famous story from maybe a year or two back where the San Francisco police didn't want to release a surveillance video of somebody pushing somebody in front of a train for fear that it would make people racist. Another interesting thing about this story, apparently this person had planned on shooting up other locations, but apparently some of the other schools had armed guards, and so they ultimately only decided to go after this Christian school because they didn't have armed guards and were a soft target. Lyft CEO and president is going to be stepping down, and former Amazon executive David Risher has been named as a replacement. Lyft stock on the year is down 33% in the last 6 months. Lyft stock is down 33% in the last 6 months and down almost 75% on the year. I thought this was an interesting story. America pulls back from values that once defined it. Issues like patriotism, religion, and hard work hold less importance. Back in 1998, people were surveyed on their feelings about things like patriotism, religion, and hard work and how important those things are. Back in 98, 70% of people said patriotism is important. Today, only 38% of people say patriotism is important. Back in 1998, 62% of people said religion is important. Today, 39% of people said religion is important. 1998, 75% of people said hard work is important. Today, it's only 60%. And going back to that story about school shootings, America has always been a country with a lot of guns, but we didn't really have school shootings until the late 90s, and obviously it's really picked up since then. So are guns to blame? Because guns have pretty much always been around. Is it that guns are to blame, or are other things to blame? What other things have changed in the past 20, 30 years? More single-parent households. Religion is less important. Hard work is less important. Patriotism is less important. Social media is around nowadays. There's obviously a mental health crisis. People report being lonelier today than ever and having less friends than ever. And kind of culture wars and divisiveness is much bigger than it ever was before. I talk constantly about how back during the Occupy Wall Street movement, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, everybody kind of came together and said it's the 1% against the rest of us. Ever since then, the media has been going in overdrive, trying to divide people along, gay, not gay, trans, not trans, black on Asian crime, Asian on black crime. You can literally look at charts and graphs and statistics, and the amount of divisive news articles that have been coming out has been on a huge uptick since 2010. And I think they want people divided against each other as opposed to questioning, why the 1% have billions and billions of dollars and the rest of us have nothing, why over 50% of Americans are earning less than $33,000 a year, will the rich continue getting richer. Just over the past couple of years, we've seen the largest transfer of wealth in history. Many billionaires have become trillionaires. Well, inflation is through the roof and wages don't keep up with the cost of inflation. So let's keep the people divided. Next story, I thought this is kind of crazy. The Red Cross is on TV asking people for money for the tornado victims down in, Alabama or Mississippi? I forget the state, excuse me there. But why are we sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, yet we're having to fundraise on TV to get Americans to help tornado victims in the South? And this was his last story of the day. This one's pretty funny. CNN ran a piece the other day and was tweeting about this. They said they were accusing people of quote-unquote digital blackface. So obviously blackface is when people paint their faces black for comedy and things like that. It's kind of funny that the wokest people out there, people like Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel, were doing blackface back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and now they're the biggest people to lecture other people about race and other kind of woke issues. But now CNN is saying that if you use a meme that shows a black person's face as a reaction to something, that you are doing digital blackface, and that's racist. And like, what memes are we thinking of? Like, I think one of the famous memes that comes to mind is, remember that clip from, it was probably sometime back in 2008, 2010, 2012, something like that. There was some guy running around raping people somewhere in the South. I think it was somewhere in Tennessee. And remember there was the African-American gentleman who had the bandana on, really kind of funny guy, and he was like, hide your kids, hide your wife, they raping everybody. Obviously that turned into a big meme. Well, CNN is saying that if you share a meme like that, you're doing digital blackface and you're racist. And they had wrote an article about this. They also tweeted about it, and CNN got absolutely torn apart on Twitter with people saying you're being absolutely ridiculous, like, stop the divisiveness. And so yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny, the whole CNN digital blackface thing. Anyhow, guys, that is all the stories and news for today. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. And as always, if you guys have any thoughts, comments, opinions you want to share about today's video or any of the stories discussed in it, feel free to drop those in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Guys, later. I'm out. Peace.